Sonic Rush is a very underrated Sonic game that people don't really talk about much. It is by far one of the most funnest Sonic games out there, and it introduced me to one of my favorite characters ever, Blaze the Cat. Not only is it fun, but Blaze is probably like one of the best Sonic characters ever. Back then, when Sega only had a few short amount of female characters, there was only Rouge, Amy, Cream, and Blaze was a different type of character. She was different than the other girls. She wasn't happy, she wasn't, flirty or any of that type of stuff. She was a serious character. She took her job seriously as a guardian and a princess. She's just basically Shadow, but, as a girl. And not with a more tragic backstory. And without a doubt, one of the best Sonic characters ever. But the only thing that sucks is that in this game, her introduction was just like by far one of the worst introductions for her, because this game is actually very underrated and nobody really talks about Sonic Rush. And it confused the hell out of a lot of people when they played Sonic 06 and they were asking, who is this cat character? That happened to me. First I played Sonic 06, then Sonic Rush, and I was wondering, who is this character? But I still ended up liking Blaze the Cat. But the game just starts off throwing you already in Leafy Storm. No introduction whatsoever for Sonic. It just basically throws you right in like it's nothing. But I didn't mind because I am very impatient when it comes to storytelling, and I want to be thrown into the gameplay already. So with Sonic's gameplay, he goes extremely faster than Blaze does. And another thing is that when it comes to the Chaos Emeralds, Sonic has to do a lot of special stages in order to get those. I mean, they're pretty easy, but they're kind of annoying to do. So once we finish our first stage, he finally gets an event with Sonic, and Sonic doesn't really have like a big role in this story. His entire story is just basically trying to figure out what's going on. So after we defeat our first boss, Sonic sees an emerald on the ground, but it's not a Chaos Emerald. And then we get introduced to one of the best characters ever. And I have a lot to say about Blaze the Cat because she is very relatable to introverts. To a lot of people, Blaze is a very important character to them. And a lot of people relate to Blaze the Cat is because they weren't treated nice when they were younger, and when they get treated nice, it makes them feel very uncomfortable. Believe me, I know, I used to feel the same way when I got treated nice. It makes me feel uncomfortable because I'm not used to being treated nice. And yes, it is hard to say please and thank you because we're not used to it. We're not used to getting treated nice. Especially if you have like strict parents, or if you have like people that just make you feel like uneasy, like extroverts. Like extroverts are very annoying around introverts. Some extroverts do like to force introverts out of the shell, but there's some that actually are very helpful and kind. So you're like an extrovert trying to force an introvert out of the shell. Please be patient. It takes time, like they'll come out of their shell, but slowly. So with Blaze's like gameplay, she's a little bit slower than Sonic, but she ascends higher with her pyrokinesis. And honestly, I think she's better to use than Sonic. She's very fun. And there's just so many reasons why to like Blaze. She's a cat. Most importantly, she has her own super form. She's very quick. She takes things seriously. And I relate to her a lot. So with Blaze's side of the story, she just wants to get the Soul Emeralds back and go back to her home. But she has to deal with Eggman from this dimension. Every time you defeat a boss, she does this animation and I think it's really cool. It's just a little twirl and then a little kick and then it sends Eggman flying. And the way she grabs the Soul Emeralds like it's nothing. Between Rouge and Blaze, I can't decide who's my favorite. I feel like this whole game is just basically for Blaze. Because for Sonic's side of the story, he doesn't really do much, but for Blaze, it's a lot. So going back to Blaze's story, she runs into Cream, and Cream is trying to help her come out of her shell. But Blaze just she wants to be left alone. She does not need help from people. And I think it's a cute little relationship between Cream and Blaze, because Cream is just she kind of acts like a little sister to Blaze. She invites Blaze into her home, and she's just Blaze feels so uncomfortable because she doesn't know how to feel. She feels uneasy. She feels like what is happening? She's not used to being treated nice. And I think it's very cute how Blaze gets all worried and frantic about she doesn't know what to do. She gets scared. She starts to act like an actual cat. She gets worried. Her anxiety's kicking in. She doesn't know what to do. That's how a cat acts. Because anybody that owns a cat knows that cats are they're very shy little creatures. And Cream isn't the only character that's trying to help Blaze out. There's also Sonic, too. But for Sonic, he's just he's trying to force Blaze to come out of her shell. And Sonic doesn't understand it. You have to be patient with her. So by the end of the game, it isn't Blaze learning a lesson. It's also Sonic, too. Sonic has to understand that when it comes to introverts, you have to be patient. Because he's over here asking information about her and Dr. Eggman Nega, and he's just, he doesn't understand. Look, we all understand that Sonic has a knack for helping people and coming out of the shell, but for Blaze, it's different. Because for Sonic's stubbornness, it leads to him fighting Blaze later on. She's telling him over and over that she wants to be left alone. So they get into like a brawl, and then like they're over here trying to beat each other up because Blaze is just like, shut the hell up, Sonic, I don't want your help. And Sonic is just like, just let me help you once. So here comes Blaze telling Sonic that she had a terrible life because nobody really treated her nice because of her powers. So for Blaze, basically she has to keep her powers in control, relax, but she can't let her anger in the entire time. Look, even Blaze has to understand that she has to let people in her life, because if she keeps pushing people away, then she's being selfish herself. And I get that the poor girl has gone through a lot in her life, but she needs to let people in. She's gonna be lonely and miserable. I mean, she already seems miserable and lonely, but you know what I mean. And I always hated this part, when you have to double tap the A and the B button at the same time. It hurts my fingers. So after we have a fight with Sonic, Cream gets abducted and she has to go save her. But Sonic is all cool. She's like, yeah, you do your own thing. And then, he does his own thing. He leaves. And Blaze has to go rescue Cream all by herself. So yeah, Sonic has learned his lesson by that. Guys, I'm not gonna lie. I always thought Sonic and Blaze were actually cute together. I'm still a Sonic and Amy shipper, but I think these two were also cute. So after saving Cream, Blaze finally understands that what it means to have a friend. Even though I think Cream is the most annoying Sonic character ever, I think she really did help Blaze a lot. So this is like the most useful Cream has ever been in any game. And it's nice to see that this entire gameplay for Blaze is that she basically finds out what it means to have a friend, that she has to let people in. It just takes time for an introvert to come out. So by far the best character development in the series. So now we have one more story to tell. And it's just basically the two Eggmans trying to kick the shit out of Blaze. And poor Blaze over here getting her ass kicked by both Eggmans, and then Sonic comes to rescue her. Yeah, she gets her ass kicked. So the poor thing gets taken down, and then Sonic comes over here telling her about like the Chaos Emeralds and stuff. And to me, by far the best scene in Sonic history is when Blaze goes super form for her first time ever. To me, this was the best transformation in the series because it felt like I was watching Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time. And I'm not talking about Sonic, I'm talking about Blaze, because Blaze is the only female character with a super form, and watching her transform was something that I never expected to see from her. So now you have to understand why a lot of people like Blaze the Cat. She is very, very relatable character and a very cool character. Still one of the best Sonic characters that Sega doesn't really use anymore, sadly. So there goes both of them trying to kick the shit out of both Eggmans, and then we finally get to have our last boss fight. Now this last boss fight is actually very easy, especially when you play as Sonic. All you have to do is just throw back the beams at, Eggman, and then it switches back to Blaze. And with Blaze, all you have to do is use your pyrokinesis, and that's it. You know what makes this boss fight even better is the music. Speaking of the music, because I did not talk about it, I forgot how amazing the soundtrack to this game is. I forgot that the same guy that did the music for Jet Set Radio also did the music for this game. It sounds different than the other Sonic games. The other Sonic games is more like rock music and like metal, but for this game it's more like electronica and pop, which I think it fits the game perfectly, especially for Blaze. Yeah, to me this whole boss fight is just incredible because the music is just basically very good. So after we finish that boss fight, that it's actually like the most easiest boss fight ever, we finally beat the shit out of these two Eggmans and send them back where they belong. So we finally, after defeating that annoying boss fight, finally get a happy ending with Sonic and Blaze. And that music that plays in the background, I thought I was at church for a second. Raising Me Up sounds like a church song. But it fits for Blaze because Blaze is, a shut-in character that became more of a happier character by the end of the game, and it's thanks to Cream and Sonic. But this isn't like the last time we get to use Blaze. There's Sonic Rush Adventure, which I probably might make another video about that later, and some in the future, because I don't know, I'm too tired to make this video right now. So in this short amount of time that she had in this game, She has the best character development since, I don't know, I guess since Shadow, or the characters in Sonic Adventure, Tails and Amy, you know. But Blaze, they do such a great job with her character in this game alone, because she became one of my favorite Sonic characters ever. And I like this little scene here where Sonic and Blaze are holding hands and they do not want to let go of each other. You know, it would have been nice if she stayed, but she had to go back where she belonged. You know, just to hang out with like Sonic and all the other characters, just for fun. But at least they see each other again in Sonic Rush Adventure. So it wasn't just Blaze learning something from Sonic, also Sonic had to learn something from Blaze. God, I miss this game so much. I don't know where it is. I know I took it from a friend without asking her, but I really miss this game. And with Sonic Rush Adventure, I have to do a video about that some other time. So thanks for watching.